Okay, first step in this video is to start a new sequence. So what I'm going to do is I've got a new project here that I've already got going. I'm just going to make a new sequence within this. From previous settings, you've got to make sure that you're on 1080p. And remember what I said, it's in the digital SLR. If you don't have that, digital SLR 1080p, what you need to do is just make sure that you've got your square pixels 920 1080. Revisit the previous video in the first series to do that. If you go to custom, you can create your own things here. In HTV, there's also 1080p 24. All of these will have the right frame size for you, but as I say, you want to make sure that whatever you've got, you can go to your settings and change it so it's at 920 and 1920 and 1080. So if you're ever in doubt, just make sure that you've got your frame sizes 1920, 1080 and square pixels. If you've got those three things sorted, you'll have no problems. But as I say, I'm just going to stick to the default and hit OK. So we've got an empty sequence. Now what I'm going to do straight away is make some text layers. So you just come to the text tool and you're just going to draw on where you want your text. So I want the first one just here, and in that I'm going to call it concept art. So what I will do is maybe just highlight that, and on your effects controls, if you can't see that, you need to be in editing mode. Let's just move this across a bit so we can see a bit more detail. And you're going to come down to your text tools here and you can change the size. So I'm going to maybe bring that up to 80. You can bring it up even more with the slider if you want. And you can change the style. So I've used a couple of different fonts. I'm going to use a kind of bold one. So Axis is quite bold. I have a couple that I downloaded called Bebus and Aku Camus. Axis is like a nice bold font. To add a bit of professionalism, you can space this out a bit as well. So you can see that this is actually kind of spacing the text out, so you can add a bit of space to your font. Okay, and what is also a good thing is to make sure that you've got it in the within these sort of safe margins. So if you want to show the safe margins, you can right click on here and click on safe margins. You can turn that on or off. Now what this is really is that on films and TV, directors tend to keep all of their main visuals within this safe zone. Text at the very least would go within this. If things kind of creep out into here, it's not too bad. But the reason we do that is because when we're transferring video to different formats, maybe on the cinema screen or to DVD or on a computer screen, each format and each medium might cut off the video in different proportions, so you might lose a bit of your text, especially when you transfer things to TV. So it's a good idea to just keep it within this safe zone. So as I say, if you right click in here, you can turn on or off these safe margins. Okay, so I've got my my font there. You can go to the selection tool and resize this a bit. It's a good idea to, if you've got dead space, just to bring that up. If you want to move it down a little bit and move it to where you want, you can do that. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Other thing, I'm just going to zoom in on my timeline and just check how long this is. So if I drag this along, you can see that it's only about, well, that should be okay, or maybe a little bit longer. You want it probably about 5 seconds in length, so that'll do. Okay, I'm going to make this is like our main bit, so this could be your name at the start, or it could be the introduction to each sort of part of your show reel. So it could be concept art, it could be level design, it could be 3D modeling, animation. And then what you might want to do is create a new subheading where you kind of add a bit more detail. So you could say character design, or you could say actual names of your characters and stuff, and keep popping this up when you introduce different concept art for different characters, for example. So what I'm going to do is hold down Alt and drag this up. It's just a quick way to copy. You can do Control C and Control V to copy and paste. And now that I've got two layers, I'm going to use my selection tool to move it down. If you hold down Shift, it will keep it nice and parallel with your existing font. You can also just let's move that up. Okay, cool. So let's change this font to something a bit lighter. So again, I'll just move down here, and instead of Axis, I'll go for what I had before, Pantone. And I'm going to change it to just light caps. Okay, cool. Let's make it a bit smaller. And I'll call this, just go back on my text tool to select it. I'll call this character design. So you'll see that obviously I ran out a bit of space there, so let's make it a bit smaller. And this is larger now, so we need to make them all the same font. If it does that, I'm just clicking here. There you go. It's a bit too big still. Let's bring it down. That'll do. Okay, cool. So what we've got there is our two fonts, nice and neat, where we want them. Okay, in the next video we'll go to keyframing and start playing with the position of these.